Hey peeps, what's going on? Tonight I want to do, well, rather this morning, I want to do the gender tag. And I got to give credit to Maggie because she's the one that told me about it and showed me the original, which was by Ashley, I want to say. That'll be linked in my pants. But you guys will be able to check that out. And I didn't get tagged by anyone. I'm just doing it because I'm trans, and it looks interesting, and Maggie said do. So um, the first one, there's 10 of them, and they're each kind of multiple part questions. So the first one is, how do you self-identify your gender, and what does that definition mean to you? I self identify my gender as non transitioning transgender guy. Um, or for short, trans guy. Or for even shorter, just trans. Now, non transitioning. I don't plan on having any surgeries at this point. The only one I think I would consider later on is possibly top surgery. The rest of it, I'm pretty okay with where I am, understanding that I do feel that my brain and my soul are male, and my body is not, and um, being able to identify that is enough for me at this point. It may not always be, but for now, I'm good. I don't feel the need to go and. Here's the deal. I don't feel the need to go and mutilate my body so that I can fit into one of society's prefabbed boxes. Um, and if that means that some people are going to say I'm not trans enough, or that I'm non op by choice, and then that's ridiculous, or whatever, I'm cool with that because as with the rest of my life, I'm going to do things that work for me, and I'm going to leave the rest as change. I don't need that. So, yeah, I've been incredibly happy once I realized that I could be trans and not have to have the surgeries. I could call myself a guy. I could use my trans name, which is Josh, and use the pronouns that I like, which are all male, and still, be happy that way. So, and that brings me to question number two. Excuse me, which pronouns honor you? Male ones. Him, he, none of the new age weird ones that are being made up. And maybe that's me buying into the I can never say that word. Maybe that's me buying into society and saying, oh, well, I have to pick male pronouns. They just feel right to me. They may not feel right to you, and I respect that, but they feel good to me. Question number three. Describe the style of clothing that you most often wear. Relaxed fit. I like baggier jeans, not the kind that you would see like where guys are wearing them below their ass. I mean, I definitely rock a grown man sag in my pants. They ride a little bit lower than they maybe need to. And I definitely wear clothing a little bit bigger than it needs to be. That's what I'm comfortable in. That's what I've always been comfortable in, even when I lost weight. I still like my stuff to be a little looser. But that's not to say that I can't clean up nicely. So, yeah. I do a lot of button downs with a t-shirt underneath, with a pair of jeans or even a pair of slacks or what have you. So, talk about your choices with body hair. How do you style your hair? I cut my own hair. I have for years. It needs to be done right now, but I cut it pretty close and clean. Body hair? No. Thank you. No. I pretty much, body hair. This could be like the hair on my head, which I cut myself. This could be my eyebrows, which I pluck myself. This could be my underarm hair, which I shave. And anything else, which I shave. And you might say, well, if you're a guy, why do you do all that? Because it feels right for me. Being a trans guy doesn't mean I have to live like an animal. I do not need to wolf out and be hairy and gross myself out. Because that's what it would do if I were to live like that. Do you have facial hair? Actually, for over a year, when I was in my early 20s, mid-20s, I had a joint, not a joint, but I had joint issues. And there was actual inflammation, and they couldn't figure out why. They put me on methotrexate, prednisolone, these hardcore, heavy medications that I was getting my blood tested twice a week, every week, because these medications are so bad for you. But they were trying to fix the issue. Now, one thing that I had never heard of, but it did happen to me, is if you're on some of these medications for too long, you can start kind of growing facial hair. And it's not normal peach fuzz that biological females can get. It was actually thick, like actual stubble and actual facial hair. And it doesn't go away. I don't know why. I don't know, whatever, but my doctor said you might end up, from these medications, you might notice that, any peach fuzz on your face might get thicker. And you might actually, he talked about electrolysis, but I just shave. Because the added bonus is it makes my trans heart happy. So I literally shave all of, whatever. Talk about cosmetics. Do you choose to wear makeup? No. Do you paint your nails? No. What types of soaps and perfumes do you use, if any? This is a men's cologne. I believe it's Estee Lauder, but it just says Lauder, Pleasures for Men. As you can see, it's almost empty. I've had that for a while. And I'm getting ready to choose a new cologne, but I never choose them for myself, which makes it very difficult to now choose one for myself, because I don't do that. I've worn everything from Tommy to Jupe to Cool Water to Drakkar to I've worn a lot of cologne, but they've all been for men. Because that's what I like, and it's what smells best on me, and that's just all of the things. As far as soap, I use an unscented Cetaphil, and it's the antibacterial bar, which I use, and also Degree antiperspirant and deodorant, because it keeps me from sweating. No makeup. I've worn makeup a handful of times for various occasions. I look good in eyeliner, but not enough to do the guy liner thing. That's just silly to me. Have you experienced, number 6, have you experienced being misgendered? If so, how often? Every day. And you know what? I don't even get upset about it, because it's just a part of the territory of living as myself. It's just kind of par for the course. The hard thing is public restrooms, which I always try and find family restrooms. Like in the one movie theater that we go to, they have a family restroom, and I love it because I don't have to face anyone in either bathroom, because legally I can't use the men's bathroom without potentially getting into trouble and or potentially getting into trouble. And in the women's bathroom, I tend to always scare women when I come walking in. Even though I try and make my voice higher and I say hi and I'm smiling, it's still disturbing to women, and ultimately I don't like upsetting people. I don't want to make someone else uncomfortable. I like for people around me to be at ease and to be happy and smiling. And sometimes my presence doesn't do that, and that makes me want to crawl under a rock. So, yeah. Number 7, do you experience dysphoria? Yup. How does that affect you? Particularly my chest causes me dysphoria. Because you can't necessarily tell because I'm wearing my sports bra, but there's a lot to it. And it's not like I hate my breasts, but at the same time, I'm like, why do you have to be there though? Because otherwise this t-shirt would look so much better on me and would look masculine, and the line would be right, and blah 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 blah. So I think dysphoria is a natural part of being trans, and I think it's just identifying what you're feeling and then moving on with, maybe altering your actions so that you get what you need and you don't hurt other people. Number 8, talk about children. Are you interested in having children? Yep. Would you want to carry a child if that were an option for you? It is, and no. No, I never want to be pregnant. Do you want to be the primary caretaker for any children you may have? I could see me being the Mr. Mom. I could see myself being like a real good primary caregiver for my kids. Yeah, I could see that. I would be happy with that. And my biggest fear of having kids would be I don't want to mess them up. So I wouldn't have kids as a single trans dad. I would have kids if there were a woman in my life that I felt I could raise kids with. So, yeah. Number 9, talk about money. Is it important to you to provide for a family financially if you choose to have one? Kind of, but I also expect my partner to do the same and to do her part of the job, whatever that may be, whatever we discuss. And I've been in. Oh, thought somebody was knocking. I've been in a relationship where I got judged because I don't make the kind of money that she makes. And I think that's the most unnatural, competitive line of bullshit that I've ever experienced. I don't know. I personally think that there's no couple in the world that, where both parties make the same amount of money. And I think that it causes such an unfair awkwardness when that's an issue. And I think it's ridiculous to think that any one person will always be able to take care of the pack. I think it makes much more sense to, I guess that's ego. If I'm a trans guy, and I am, and I think, okay, I have to bring home the bacon and make more than the girl that I'm with, that just seems kind of silly because to me it feels like I'm saying men should make more than women. And yikes. I'm sorry, this is 2015. I that's just because that's literally part of the question. Talk about money. Is it important to you to provide for a family financially if you choose to have one? Well, yeah, but it's important for me in the sense that I don't like competition. I don't like feeling like I need to compete with my boo. I don't like that. I like the idea of working together and getting shit done. And in my opinion, like, it's the biggest turn off when the girl that I'm with is like, makes it into like a competition because now I feel like I'm not like this with her. Now we're like this, and I'm like, and I have to, in some weird way, try and beat her at this weird game, and I'm not down with that. That doesn't feel good to me, personally. So the part of the question that says, "Is it important to you that you earn more than any partner?" Excuse me, you may have. No. I'm sure that there are a lot of different situations going on out there, and some where the guy makes more, some where the girl makes more, somewhere there's two guys or there's two girls, and then they. The one thing that I'm pretty sure of is that no two people in a relationship will make the same amount of money, because I just don't think that that's realistic or logical. I think that every pack member who is able and can needs to work as hard as they can to get there. And I think that competition only fucks that groove up. So to me, it's much more important that there's a team mentality where everybody's important. Hey, you might be, stay-at-home dad, but you're important for XYZ reasons, and your efforts are acknowledged. And because if you don't acknowledge someone's efforts, they stop making them, in my opinion. That's just my 2 cents. Also, keeping in mind that my love language is words of affirmation. So, if somebody's competing with me, I'm like turned off by that. I'm like, yo, I mean, like, a little bit of competition might be fun, but when it comes down to it, nah. Hashtag nah. I would rather build someone up if I'm with them and have them build me up and be like, yo, babe, you're fucking awesome. You got this. We got this. We're in it to win it. We're together. It's a team. Like, so on and so forth. Anything else just turns me off. Okay, what's the next part? Do you prefer to pay for things like dates? It depends on what the date is. If I barely know a girl and she's like, I don't, okay. It's not quite so cut and dry anymore these days, because you might want to step up and take care of someone, but you have to take into accountability their comfort level, because I tend to be a person where, like, yeah, I'll try and pay. And I've had girls in the past say, I'm not comfortable with that, because they think, well, based on what they said, because they think that me paying for the date makes me think that I'm entitled to something, which is completely not the mindset that I'm coming from, but it has to be taken into consideration that there's, perception. If I'm on a date with a girl and she tries to pay for me, which is the next part. Are you uncomfortable when others pay for you or offer to pay for you? Sometimes I am, but that has less to do with my gender identity rather than to do with the fact that I tend to try and take care of the people around me. And part of that I can sometimes go overboard in trying to pay for other people's meals or like a movie or something like that, or a coffee or whatever. I can sometimes get black and white thinking mentality where I'm like, I have to pay for it, or you're not going to love me, or you're not going to like me. And it's not necessarily that cut and dry in my brain, but it's kind of what's in the back of my brain. I'm like, well, no, because if I buy your XYZ, you're going to like me more. And that's just not true in most instances. So I've tried to kind of take the mentality of, if I asked you out and we go on a date, I'm assuming I'm prepared to pay. Unless that's not something you're comfortable with, in which case we go Dutch. But I'm prepared to pay as a gentleman, as a self-proclaimed gentleman. I would be prepared to pay for that if I asked someone out. So, the uncomfortable thing, again, not related to my gender as much as it's related to the fact that I feel like, that makes people feel like closer to me or something like that. I don't know. I feel like I'm taking care of them in a sense, and that feels good. Okay, so the alarm just went off, so I'm going to have to edit this just a little bit to plug in the answer for question number 10. Anything else you want to share about your experience with gender? In my experience, gender is something that you can realize just like sexuality. I always thought that there was something wrong with me because I was a boy inside of a girl's body. And then I grew up and I realized there's nothing wrong with me per se. I just simply am trans. And being trans doesn't mean any one specific thing for everyone. Just like being a certain sexuality doesn't mean any one specific thing for anyone. You can be fluid. I've come to realize that people can love others of any gender. Even myself. I mean, do I love women? Yes. Is there probably somewhere out there a transgendered individual or even maybe a man that I could love? Probably. That probably exists. There's probably somewhere out there that I could love. But much like anything else, my choices impact the journey that I am on, and I choose women happily. And I don't think there's any wrong way to. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I used to feel a lot of shame surrounding my gender. When I would have to check female, it was just, painful. And now I'm just like, whatever, my body's female. That's a fact. That's a thing that happened. And I'm not ashamed of who I am anymore. And coming to realize that I'm trans, that gave me a huge incentive to let go of the guilt that I had from not fitting into any one gender. Now I'm just like, well, that's, if I'm in a situation and people don't understand me, I'm like, that's a thing that happened, and I hope that they experience some emotional growth, but I don't have to take responsibility for how people perceive my gender. And of course, I try to do no harm. I try not to upset others, but if I do upset them, I'm not going to let that turn into a self-hating, self-loathing thing, because they just don't understand in a lot of instances, and that's okay. So, that's pretty much it. Again, all of the information is going to be in my pants, So you'll be able to check out the original video and blah, blah, blah. But I hope you enjoyed hearing what I thought about these prompts. And if you haven't done this video, definitely go ahead and do it, because anybody could answer these questions, really. I mean, yeah, they're geared towards a trans person, but even if you're straight or gay, you could, bisexual, whatever, you could probably answer these too. So, but that is all that I have for you. I really appreciate you guys hanging out and sharing a part of your day with me, as always. It legit means the world to me. And especially with such a hard topic as my gender, it's kind of hard to talk about sometimes, but it gets easier the more and more people that are receptive, and the more and more people that are open to calling me he and Josh, and loving me no matter what weirdness I come out with next. That means the world to me. So thank you for being your awesome, wonderful selves. I'm going to edit this and then I'm going to bed. So much love. Peep out.